Today we're going to do an introduction to compass constructions, and the two basic things that we're going to be using when we do compass constructions are a compass and a straight edge. Now I can't replicate a straight edge on the smartboard, but we're just going to pretend that there's no way that you can measure with this. So all it is completely straight, and that's its only purpose that it serves. And then we've got our compass here. And then I'll model some various constructions, and then you'll have a homework assignment where you can practice these. Alright, so a typical construction that's pretty easy to start with is a segment construction. The directions read construct segment AB such that AB is equal to 3CD. And remember, with that notation, it means the length of AB is 3 times the length of CD. So the first thing that we need to do is go ahead and start to draw our segment, and the one we're going to start with is CD. So I'm going to try to make a segment about a random length, just making sure it's not too big, and then from there I'm just going to simply label that CD, and I recommend that you do the same thing on your paper. And then we're going to make what's called a working line, and your working line really should be as large as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and then make this thing as long as I can. Hopefully it'll let me go all the way across the paper. Alright, and then I'm going to call this thing A and B. Sorry, I'm kind of writing with my mouse here. No, it's not the world's greatest B, but you get the idea. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my compass and I'm going to put the pointer on the end of the segment, and then I'm simply going to, from here, take this and then mark it. And what that tells the person that's looking at your paper is that you've measured that segment. Alright, now again, I haven't used a ruler or anything like that, but the next thing I'll do is take my compass and put it right on the end point of my new segment, AB. I think I prematurely put a B on there, and we'll move that in a second. And then what we're going to do is take our compass, and we're simply going to make a mark in that location. Okay, now what I've done now is created two congruent segments. So I'm simply going to keep my compass distance the same. Again, I did not open it bigger or smaller. And then I'm going to move over to this location, and then where my first arc was, and then I'm going to make another arc. The reason I'm calling it an arc is it's part of a circle. And then I'm going to take that distance. I'm not opening or closing my compass at all, and I'm going to move it out in this distance right here. And you want to be as precise as you can be. Now, once I've done this, I know that I've created a segment that is exactly 3 times as long, at least as close as I can be with my compass. It doesn't hurt in these locations to maybe put an actual point here and a point here. It's a little bit tougher for me. So in all these compass construction videos, feel free to hit pause, do what you need to do, watch it again if you have to, and there's our first construction. Next construction is going to be basically a congruent angle construction. If you could write this down in your notes, construct angle B to be congruent to angle A. In this location over here, we're going to call this one angle A, and the other one, our new one, we're going to call angle B. So what I'll do is I'm going to take my straight edge and I'm going to draw myself a working line all the way across here. And then at this location, I'm going to go ahead and call this angle B. Next thing I'd like you to do is go ahead and take your compass and put it on the vertex of angle A. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab our compass, and I want you to make an arc that touches both sides of your angle. And once you make that arc, what I want you to do is basically repeat the same process from B. Now, I kind of left it in the same position it was before. You want to at least go this far. The only thing that you can do to mess this up is not make your arc big enough. So I'm going to go a little bit overboard with this. So I'm going to go a little bit over here, and I want to make sure that it touches that side of the angle. And as long as that's happened, then we should be in good shape. Alright, the next thing I'd like you to do is make sure that once you have that arc drawn in, I want you to put one side of your compass over here and one side of your compass over here where the arc actually touches the sides of the angle. Notice that I'm being as precise as I can. Now when you do that, what I want you to do is make a little mark like this. And what that shows the person looking at your paper is that you did measure the opening of that angle. Once you have that, you can go from that side or you can go from the other. And then what we're going to do is mark that same distance on the other side. I am going to have to kind of flip my compass over. So here's another option. Another option is to hold your compass from this perspective and make the arc from here. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. This might actually be a little easier. What you're going to do then is where your compass on the new line that you're making, where that arc actually crosses, I want you to put your compass right here in this location. Again, being as precise as you can. Then from here, what you're going to do is make that same arc. So basically what we've done is duplicated what we've done on angle A. And what we know is since we've measured out the same distance, that means that if I draw a line from the vertex through the new point that I just made, then I should have exactly what I need, which is the exact copy of the angle that I'm looking for. So I'll simply draw a line from here all the way through there. And thereby I've constructed angle B to be congruent to angle A. Again, please feel free to just hit pause and try to catch up if you're having a hard time. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to construct an angle bisector. So leave yourself plenty of room up on top, and what I'd like you to do is go ahead and take your straight edge, and we're going to basically make an angle. So I'm going to go ahead and trace over here, and it doesn't have to be an acute angle per se, but I think for our purposes, maybe doing that on this one would be good. So I'm going to go a little bit bigger, not quite, looks like 78 degrees, and then I'm going to draw this one in. So you can pick what you want. You can go a little bit more, a little bit less, no big deal. And now we've constructed an angle. What we're going to do is just label that vertex. Alright, so to do this angle bisector, what you're going to do is take your compass. I want you to go ahead and set it. And you don't want to go more than halfway down your working line, and make sure you got enough room on top. And then I'm going to set this right here, and then I'm going to make another arc very similar to when I did the angle congruent construction. So we're going to make this mark right here. Now the two places where my arc crossed the sides of the angle, again, excuse my mouse writing, it's not fabulous here, but we're going to call this one B. Keep it simple. We'll call this one C. Now the next step is crucial to being able to complete this successfully. Normally I've always said up until this point to leave your compass the same distance as it was. This time we need to go a little bit further. So I'm going to open mine just a little bit more. Okay, and then what I'll do is I'm going to take my compass and I'm going to put it at point B. And I'm simply going to take and make a mark on the inside of the angle. Not touching the sides of the angle, but from that position. Then once I have that arc, I'm simply going to take without moving the compass at all, I'm going to go ahead and put my pointer on C, and I'm simply going to duplicate that process until those two arcs cross each other. And there we go. And you should notice that your arcs should cross completely in the middle of your angle. And we can just call that point D. We'll learn more about the mathematics of this a little bit later. And to finish your construction, I guess all you really have to do is connect A to D. And if you want to get fancy from there, you can go ahead and mark the sides of your angle with two angle marks to show the reader that they are congruent to each other. Again, feel free to hit pause if you need to. Okay, the next construction is to construct a 60-degree angle. And the best way that I can say this is that if, let's say that we had an equilateral triangle, we know that each of the angles here are going to be 60 degrees. We're essentially going to construct an equilateral triangle, and by that construction, with our compass, we'll come up with our 60-degree angle. So let me get rid of that. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and take your working line and just draw that out. And from this location, we're going to go ahead and just label it A. Let's keep it simple. So this is A at this location. Alright, I'm pretty much done with this for a little bit, so let me move this out of the way. From here, what I'm going to do is take my compass. Again, I don't want to move anything too far, but you know, I'm going to go maybe a little bit farther than usual just so you guys can see it. And then what I'm going to do is make a big old arc that starts below the line and goes all the way past 90 degrees. Now, once I've done that, notice that I haven't done nothing to open the compass further. We've got a new point here at this location. I'm going to call that point B. And then at point B, what I'm going to do is put my compass pointer right at that location. And then what I'll do is make another arc right here so they cross each other. And essentially what I've done is I've measured a point that's equidistant from A and from B. And I'm going to call this point, for lack of creativity here, we're just going to call it point C. So all you have to do from here to complete your angle, is we've made our equilateral triangle in this location. I'm simply going to go ahead and take my straight edge, and I'm going to draw through that point. And then what you've got here at this location is a 60-degree angle without using your protractor. Please write this one down as well. It says construct a perpendicular bisector. And all you need for this one is a segment. And for this, you're going to need room above and below your segment. Now, I don't want you to draw this too big, so I'm going to keep mine around this size. And once I do that, I have really no need for this for a while. So I'm just flat out going to get rid of it. And then what I want you to do is go ahead and let's label the endpoints of our segment. Switch it up a little bit. We'll just call this X and Y. This is a pretty darn easy construction. So all you got to do from here is take your compass, and I want you to make sure that when you open it, that it goes over halfway. If it doesn't go over halfway, this construction will not work. If it's under half, these lines won't touch. And all you got to do from here is make an arc about yay big. And you can draw a circle if you wanted to, but that would be more than necessary. And without moving the distance your compass is opened, all you got to do is go over here to Y, and then more or less just repeat the same thing. And I'll just show you can make it larger if you want to. Okay. I'll just move my compass out of the way. You're going to notice that what happened is that the two arcs crossed at this position. And then from there, those 2 points are equidistant from X and Y, which means they have to be right smack dab in the middle. And then what I'll do is just go ahead and connect these with a line. And there's your perpendicular bisector. So if you want to get fancy, go ahead and put your little perpendicular box right there. Well, I hope you've somewhat enjoyed these constructions. I've always liked constructions. I think they're fun to do. It's a little different than doing algebra and things like that. It's more of an art exercise. Our last construction is going to be to construct a perpendicular from a point to a line. So please make sure that you label your notes like that. In order to do this construction, we're going to need, again, a working line. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's switch up color a little bit here. And for this one, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and then put a point, not right in the middle, so it looks a little bit different from before. Don't make it too far away from the line, so our compass is going to need to hit it. So I'm going to go about this position. You know, it doesn't even hurt to make your working line go all the way across the page. I'm kind of being a bad example for that. But I'm just going to put mine right, for lack of a better area, just right there. Alright, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put my pointer here, and then what I'm going to do is mark an arc. So I want to make sure that this hits 2 places on my line. And I can simply name these points. My original point is A, this new point in that location is B, and then the other part where the arc hit my working line is called C. All you need to do from there is just open your compass once you get those points a little bit bigger, and then we're just going to kind of repeat this process. So I'm going to go and adjust this thing just a little bit to the other side. And I'm going to put my pointer on C. Alright. Now, I just want to turn this a little bit so you guys can see this, but I'm going to go from here, and then I'm simply going to mark this, and I know that it's going to be a perpendicular right through here, so I want to make sure that I go far enough to ensure that it's right underneath A. Once you make that mark, without taking your compass distance and moving it open or closed, I want you to just go over to B and then repeat that same process. And I did not reset my compass. And notice if you do that, you're going to get the points crossing each other right there in that location. So if I get this out of the way, I accidentally moved that. Sorry about that, but I don't need it anymore, so it's no biggie. And I'm going to put a point right here. I'm going to call that D. And all you got to do is connect A to D, and we should be good to go here. So let's do that. That's off a little bit. Your constructions aren't always going to be perfect. That's why we look at the arcs. We know that your compass is going to move a little bit. And again, you want to get fancy. You can go ahead and put in your perpendiculars in that location. Why don't you go ahead and give this a shot. You feel free to, we'll post it on the blog, and if you want to go ahead and watch this later while you're doing your assignment, that would be great. Good luck, everybody.